normally would like to be, but I will take my thought from here and move into this great privilege, this great job, this great opportunity of being a mother. First verse, and there went a man of the house of Levi and took to wife a daughter of Levi, and the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could not longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off to wit what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the river's side. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him and said, "This is one of the Hebrews' children." Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee?" And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go." And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, "Take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages." And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses. And she said, "Because I drew him out of the water." And you may be seated. And I'm going to say to what we've already read, especially in that 9th verse, Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, "Take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages." And the woman took the child and nursed it. This isn't my title, but we always say, "Did he do it?" That's one of those "didn't he do it" moments there. You took the "won't he do it?" You took the "won't he do it?" You took the baby's child. You took the child and paid the biological mom to take care of the child, when the biological mom is the one that initiated it all and was hiding the child. So I want to use for a title for my message today, human shock absorbers. Human shock absorbers. Mothers are, and I'm going to say right here, we don't see a lot of it today, but mothers are human, or should be human shock absorbers. And I'll explain that later. There's something, I'd be honest with you, on the back of my mind. I'm not supposed to probably think it or say it, but it reminds me of an old Spinner song. Not a lot of mothers around, like when I grew up. The song starts out, early one Sunday morning, breakfast was on the table. We had no time to eat. My mother said to me, "Let's hurry off to Sunday school." That was my mom. That was my mom. You had to go to Sunday school, and I learned a lot about Jesus. I learned a lot about a lot of things in the Bible, and I didn't realize, I thought that was all a waste and a wash when I grew up and left the church, never was saved. I said, all that stuff I knew, and it's all to waste. What was that for? Now I'm out here, I'm doing everything and anything I'm big enough, bad enough to do. That's just a waste. And little did I know, when the Lord dealt with me and I came back to the house of God serious about him at the age of 28 years old, that there was things that came back to me that I didn't have to go read and study and learn, because it was in me. And I thought it was a waste, and I thought I didn't know it anymore. I thought I'd forgotten it. I had a human shock absorber in my life, and once again, as we look at this text, I'll get into that part, but as we look at this text, it's interesting that a man, he says, of the house of Levi took a wife or a daughter of Levi. In other words, this baby that would be born would be of the Levitical priesthood. It would be of the tribe of Levi. There were 12 tribes of Israel, and It's very interesting if you read the 29th chapter of Genesis, the 30th chapter of Genesis, how these 12 tribes that ended up comprising or becoming the nation of Israel came into being. But let's just say one of the women Leah had Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. The first 4 children, these were 4 tribes. And as time went on, I don't want to go way back there, but the tribe of Levi, this baby, whoever it is, will come out of the priestly tribe, the Levites. That's why they call them the Levites, the Levitical tribe. And this woman conceived and bare a son. And the problem with all of this is these Levites, they were in bondage to Egypt. And any child that was born, especially a male child was supposed to be killed. For sure, if it was a male. They were going to kill the male. And this mother saw, the biological mother saw, that this child was born, and it was a male and a goodly child, and she began to do things. It's interesting to note, as much as men seem to be the people that we look to in our culture that works with their hands, and they're the one that usually puts up the drywall, and they're the ones that fixes the cars, gets their hands greasy and dirty, and they are the ones usually, because you have to make a lot of exclusions today, they are the ones that do all the kinds of stuff that make stuff work, and they're the ones that works on air conditioning units usually. It's just interesting. I've got two different places that Arkin comes to on a regular preventive maintenance program, and I was shocked to see women in both locations. And I asked one woman, "You don't have any problem with bugs then?" She said, "Oh, no, not at all." So I get that, I understand that, but there are some generalities, and I won't call it a law because there always are exceptions to the rule, but men usually are the ones that do things with their hands. But note, this woman could no longer hide him, so she took for him an ark, the woman did, the mother, bulrushes, and daubed it with slime and pitch, and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink, in the Nile River more than likely. And his sister stood afar off. Miriam doesn't say here, but Miriam was Moses' elder sister. She stood afar off to know what would be done to him. She's interested in seeing how the mom's going to deal with this. So the mother, mind you, and I'm going to do like the preacher used to say, "Thank you, sir. I hadn't thought of that." The mother was actually teaching her daughter Miriam how to become a mom just by what she saw her mother do. I don't understand for the life of me why men and women don't understand that your child is really a sponge, a human sponge that is taking in all that you do, even more than what you say. And they are learning through that process as well as other processes. They're grabbing everything they can grab. They're learning from what you do because, like I said, you can say a lot of things about who you are and what you will and won't do. They're going to watch what you do and learn. So here is Miriam watching her mother, and she stood by to see what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river. Now, this is the power here. Pharaoh is Pharaoh's not a name. Pharaoh is a title. Pharaoh means you ran the whole nation of Egypt, that whole area, which is a large area, the Pharaoh of Egypt. So the daughter has all kinds of entitlements, all kinds of power, all kinds of control. She could say yea or nay to anything. She could have killed this child. And it's only because of how the mother, the biological mother, manipulated the whole situation to cause her son Moses to be put into a certain favorable position in that nation later on. But the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the river's side when she saw the ark among the flags and sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept, and she had compassion on him. And even though it was one of the Hebrews' children, and she knew the rules of the land, the laws of the land, and what should be done, compassion had everything in the world to do with it. So let's not discount that being a mother, this woman was not the biological mom, but being a mother, she cared so much for this baby. What she saw was a baby that was in distress. What she saw was a baby that some biological mom cared enough about to try to hide it out for 3 months. That baby's getting bigger now. 3 months to see that the baby didn't have any harm, and I'm going to say the ultimate death come to it. This is the woman who is not the biological mom. There are many women that have stepped in the stead, not being the biological mom, just seeing the circumstance or the situation and said, I better do something. There's nothing like being held hostage. In today's world, in today's culture, many grandparents raised their grandchildren because they saw that boy, I'm going to say that man or that woman that had that child didn't have no good sense to have a baby. And so you said, boy, if I leave my grandchild with them, it's going to be a lot of stuff go wrong. I'm going to step in here. So you don't have to be the biological parent or mom, or for that matter, dad, to take on the role or the position of that. This is what the Pharaoh's daughter did. Said when she had opened, that she saw the child, the babe wept, she had compassion. Compassion moves a lot of things a lot of ways. Compassion will cause you to get out of character. Compassion will cause you to get out of sorts. Compassion will cause you to do things you said you never would do. Compassion sometimes will cause you to reach into your pocketbook and get some money out you would otherwise keep. Compassion will cause you to feed a stranger. Compassion will cause you to give somebody gas at the station that really is in distress and trying to get somewhere or on the job. I saw a woman, or I heard of a story of a woman in the gas station. She was in there and she was snappy at the person, the clerk, the cashier. She was snappy at him and she said all kind of crazy stuff to him. And she stormed out when her card was denied. And as she left out, somebody said, I'll pay for her gas. And they said, why are you doing that to that old mean person? You're paying for her gas. And found out the woman, when she got out there, the woman was just in a pile of tears. She said, this is my first week on the job. I had no money to go or no gas money, and they filled my tank up, and now I can move on in life. You never know, be it long, Lord, don't take this wrong. Don't take this wrong, because I'm the last one to pat myself on the back. I went to American Muffler a few years ago, and this has happened to me many times, but this just popped up in my thinking, so maybe I should tell it. And believe me, I'm not trying to get no accolades. All my glory goes to God. This woman met me in the front of the store, and we got there before they opened, and I was there before her, but she stood in line first. And when I just noticed her, and when we was getting ready to go in American Muffler, and they did open up, she said, here, you was first. She let me go in front of her. I thought that was nice of her because I was there first. And I went in, long story short, she came out and she just sat in her car. She had already told me she used it for Uber. She just dropped off her kid. He's getting ready to graduate. She didn't have money for high school and all that kind of stuff. And she wasn't trying to give me she's just talking. And I don't carry, sometimes I keep $100 bill or two on me. I don't carry money with me often. But I went in there to get my truck fixed. And I thought it was going to be a certain amount of money. That's why I had the money on me. And then they told me it was going to be just a little bit of money. And as I was there, she sat out in front. And I went up back to the man in there. And I said, this is not my business, so you really don't have to tell me. What's her story? Why is she just sitting there? He said, well, she needs something else done. And she doesn't have money to get her car fixed because it's just too much. She didn't come prepared to pay that, and I told her she needed to get this done before she got that done. She's still sitting out there when I went outside, and I said, well, I'm not, I've got some money. I'm not going to give her anything. I'm just not. I got back in my truck, and I was empowered to go over there to her. I jumped out of the truck and she wouldn't look. She was in the driver's seat looking forward with her head down. I said, I don't want anything from you. I don't want your telephone number. I don't need to know your name. I'm not doing that for any reason, any ulterior motive. And she wasn't looking, I thought she wasn't listening. And I just took a $100 bill and threw it in her lap. And I just saw her shoulders and she started crying a lot. And she just looked at me and said something. And I walked off. Don't you know I felt so good? Yes. It's something about giving when you have compassion. It really does you good. And guess what? I'm going to tell you something else about giving. While I'm off my subject a little bit, I'm going to tell you something else about giving. When you give, you will really never notice it's gone. Because if you give $100, God's going to give you a whole lot more back. It may not even be money. You might go somewhere else and you need something and it's already done or fixed. It might be your washer or your dryer. You just never know. You can't be God-given, but compassion will cause you to do things that's out of your norm, out of your ordinary. So I look at this woman. She is keeping a child that is not hers out of compassion. So she said to the sister, Pharaoh's daughter, said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. How does that work? So here's my biological child. I'm hoping the best. I'm hearing the Pharaoh's daughter found it. This could come out the most worst way. They could kill my child. I did my best. All I could do, I'm in distress. I'm desperate to see my child live. I don't have the means. I'm in the wrong position. I'm in bondage in Egypt. I don't have anything going for me. What they say here goes. And all I know is I don't want anything, no evil to befall my child. And you come and get me, the biological mom, to care for the child, and you're going to pay me. Won't he do it? Once again. So you are going to pay me to keep my own child. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it, and the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses. And she said, because I drew him. Moses means drawn from the water. That's what it means. Now, here is a woman who stepped up because she had a motherly instinct, even though she was not the biological mom. This child was by law supposed to die. But there's something about the compassion of a real mom. Don't even have to be the biological mom. There's something about the compassion of his biological mom that says, I'm going to cause this child to miss some of the shocks of life. In this case, death, the shocks of life. Now, when it comes to a woman being a human shock absorber, I thought about this thought many years ago. Just let me get into the mechanics of cars for those that don't know how they work. If you were to drive a car down the street and it didn't have a shock absorber on it, you would feel every bump, every pothole. You just think you're feeling them now. It would bend your frame, it bend all the steel parts that are attached, because they're made to do a little bit of bouncing. The shock absorber system is made with a spring on it. And I'm going to leave the shock out for a minute. They made with a spring on it so that the car will have some bounce to it. The problem with the car that doesn't have shocks or good shocks is it'll bounce like crazy. But the car is made to bounce some. It's made to move some and take some bounce to it. But then there's something on it called the shock absorber that will not allow it to bounce too much. The old school cars, the way we tested them back in the day, if you needed shocks, you go to the front end or the back end and you push down 3, 4, 5 good times and back off. And if that thing bounced more than 2 times, you needed some shocks, because the springs are going to keep doing what they should do. They're the last thing to wear out, but the shock absorber many times would wear out. They would leak. If they leaked, now they're made with gas and oil. If they leaked oil, you needed another one. And because of that, they are no longer doing what they should do. The thing bounces and it bounces like crazy, and there's nothing really in place to absorb the shock. And that's where we're at today. Many moms or biological moms, but they've lost their ideal or their thinking because of how many times they was raised to not understand, I am here to avoid the shocks in life for you, boy. I am here to cause the shocks and the shocks that going up and down, not to kill you, not to disturb you or throw you off course, throw you in the next lane. I am here to absorb some of the bumps and the bruises of life, the shocks of life. I'm a human shock absorber because I'm a real mom. Oh, I'm where I want to go now. So when we see this shock absorber, years ago I was riding down the road, and someone told me in 1998, I said, well, I'm going to be commuting to Shelbyville where the church is. I have a car too, but I want one that really rides good, even though it was about a 40-minute ride. I went to the Cadillac dealer. I've never been a Cadillac man. I went to the Cadillac dealer. This was 1998. And when I went there, I went to Cleverly over there on Keystone. And I began to tell the salesman, I said, I want the best riding car out there and this and that and the other highway car. I was shocked what that man told me. He said, oh, you want a town car? I said, really? You're telling me about a Ford? No, I'm not a Ford man either. I bought me a town car. And one time when we was coming back from Shelbyville, someone was driving my town car and I was behind it, riding behind them in another car. And I noticed the car bouncing. And I told them when we got home, I said, that thing looked like it was bouncing around a lot. They said, it was? We didn't notice anything. You know why? Because the shock absorbers worked like they were supposed to. And there's some moms today that really still, I hope we have more of them that really understand I am a stabilizing force to my child. Let me go the other way because some of us, we think we're supposed to stop all the shocks and they're not supposed to feel anything. You know what you're raising? You're raising a wimp because even girls need to understand that there's some decisions you make. If you stole some item in high school, I'm not supposed to go up there and cuss out everybody and get them straight because they really are crooked if they did something with them. No, did you steal it, little Johnny? Well, little Johnny, we're going to deal with you back at the home. I saw something that was kind of funny the other day. It was a drawing of a woman, she was an old woman. You could tell she had a little skirt on and she had this stick in her hand with like two little things coming out of it. She said, this is what children are missing today. That woman was running. And she's right. It's against the law to beat your child. I don't say beat them, but the Bible tells me. I'm not telling you about a human opinion. I'm not here to debate with somebody that's a child. You know, a lot of folks, let me go backward for a minute. A lot of folks can tell you how to raise a child because they never had a child. And I'm thinking, you never had a child. You gonna tell me what to do with a child? Oprah Winfrey, I'm sorry, can't tell me a thing about raising a child. You might know a lot of stuff, but you can't tell me nothing about child rearing because you have a child. One of them is one way. You have another one. I can go even better than that. I've got a friend that's got twins. They're grown now. And he said, you know, what takes for one don't take for the other. He said, I got one twin, I could beat him down, and he still don't even cry. I got the other one, I can just speak to him, and he cries. These are twins. Every child is different. There is no book that tells you all about what you should do and how you should do it, and it's going to be perfect for you. That's not your child or that they're writing about it. Every child is different, but the mom should be the stabilizing force in the home. There are some bumps and there's some bruises, and I'm not here to be your defense attorney if you're really wrong. If you're really wrong, you need to face the music because what you did gets you that, and you need to understand it. And if I start out at the age of 8 and 9 years old defending all your wrongs, then guess what? I raise a child that I've spoken into him that they can be 17, 18, 20 years old, and I can do anything wrong because I got my mama to defend me. You don't need to be that person. That's not stabilization, but you need to be the person that stabilizes that child says, that's wrong. You need to deal with it from the wrong angle. That's right, that's good. I will defend you to the end because of what you're doing, what was done to you and what was said. I am here with the bumps and the bruises of life. You're going to have some things that's going to spring you up and spring you down in life. But you're going to have some issues that toss you up and toss you down in life. I'm here to stabilize it and keep it, some of the shock away from it. I am your human shock absorber. So that goes both ways. Like I said, we're not talking about the man yet. If, and hopefully there is a man, because I see a new epidemic today. There's women running around telling me, I'm a single mom. And I'm going to say some of them are designated to be single moms. What do you mean? Go have a baby by this guy. The red flags was there. He ain't going to stay with you. Get with a man, another man, have a baby with that guy. He never was with you. Some women are actually planning babies. He said, I'm going to have one in 2021. He'll be about 2. She'll be about 2. I'm going to have one in 2023. I'm going to have one in 2026. That's a designated. And you don't care about, as one woman and many women say, I don't need a man to have a baby. They mean they don't need a man to raise, they don't need a father. That's not a very good shock absorber. That's one that the oil is all out of it. The gas has left the shock. And that baby is going to have all kinds of bounces in life that you alone can't fix or handle. That shock wears out. Mamas wear down. Mamas sometimes close to wear out. It's an interesting thing being at funerals, and usually the one that wants to tear them out of the coffin the most is the one that had the worst relationship with them. I want to know what you want to do with them. It's a corpse. And let them have them. Let's see. If it wasn't for roughing up the body and stuff and all the work the mortician, is their time, painstaking time they put into it, we just might would let you have them. What are you going to do with them? We had a lady worked at you can take us any way you want to. We had a lady worked at the funeral home, works at the funeral home. She came into our house to talk about a funeral we was planning at the time. She said, well, we don't like a lot of stuff going on with the body when we get through. And she said, I don't know why for the life of me, people kiss corpses. She said, if they only knew, but I'm gonna leave that alone. Yeah, I'm sorry, I love you. But the part I love that animated you, made you who you are, I'm not, it is a corpse. It's a body, it's what's left. Human shock absorbers is what a mother really should be. That's just one thing. This mother jumped in there and did some things that stopped her baby from being killed. And she was desperate. She did not know if it would work. It just so happens it fell out. You know why? Because let's face it, let me go a step further. God was in this. This Moses, as we know, became the great law receiver. I'm going to call him because God's the ultimate lawgiver. He became the he went up on the mount, and the Bible says about Moses, he was more humble than any other man that ever lived. Now, in the context of that, his sister Miriam, when Moses grew up, all y'all folks are saying, well, he was a black man and all this and all that. I'm going to let y'all have that for a second. But Moses married an Ethiopian woman. I think we know what an Ethiopian woman is or looks like. And because of it, Miriam's prejudice rose up in her, along with Aaron, his brother, and they began to talk about Moses and began to say stuff about Moses that was derogatory about who he had married. And Moses didn't say a thing because Moses was humble. Moses didn't fight him. He didn't debate with him. He's got his wife. He's gone on. But God spoke up for this Moses. And God said, you know, I'm going to smite her, your sister, with leprosy. I'm going to cause your brother to shut up because I'm going to take care of you because you're the most humblest guy in the world. And you ain't, this is today's vernacular. And he said, I don't even talk to Moses in visions. I don't talk to him in dreams like the other people. I don't talk to him in parables. I just straight up talk to Moses like I'm talking to you today. Why? Because Moses had such an important role in the nation of Israel in the eyes of God. God didn't want him to miss it. There was no room for Moses to improperly interpret anything or any direction God gave him. The same little baby, you don't know what your baby, in other words, is going to be that you've raised or you've had in your womb. You don't know who you're raising. And quit talking about your daddy ain't no good. You ain't going to be nothing but a drug dealer like your daddy. You ain't going to be nothing but a child molester like your daddy. You just going to go off to prison like your. How about speaking victory into them? How about speaking success into them? How about telling them, you're going to grow up, you're going to be a heart specialist, you're going to be the one that gets the cure to cancer, you're going to be the one that understands AIDS, you're going to be the one that knows all about diabetes and how to eliminate it in the human body. How about speaking something like, you're going to be the first black this, you're going to be the first white that, because nobody else has ever done it. You're going to be the one. How about speaking victory? How about being a human shock absorber and speaking something that's valuable to your child? Women, good women. That 31st proverb that we read, it's somewhat dated because of how women had to make everything with their hands. I met a lady this past week I didn't know. Had to go pick up an item from her, and we engaged in a conversation. She said, I've got all kind of patterns and material because I used to sew a lot. She said, so when I got rid of them, she gave them to some group that teaches people how to sew. She didn't give them the Goodwill. And she said they'll take her material if she's got more than a yard. She went on because she said they can't make anything with it if it's less than a yard. And she had the old school ideal of doing something with your fingers, being useful. She rose up early. She did so. This woman, Moses' biological mom, found a way in her desperation. But that should be a norm. She was desperate because she was in bondage to absorb the shock of her child. Now, mind you, she already had Miriam and Aaron. They were older than Moses. But that's the role that I talked to a lady the other day. She said she had a daughter. I said, I hope you're raising a lady. When I see the little girls walk through there and they speak to me, they don't know why I say it. I say, hello, young lady, because I hope somebody gets to them and tells them what a real woman is. A lady, and not just a female. We have far too many females, just females and males. And I won't even get into, well, I'm born a male and Aaron, but I really feel like, I should be a woman. As Jenner said, Bruce Jenner, that's his old name, Caitlyn, whoever, Bruce Jenner said, see, all this time y'all thought a woman couldn't be that successful in sports. I'm gonna get off of that because it's an unending subject. But my personal opinion, and I think the law's starting to lean that way too, is there's no reason a male should be competing in sports with a female. I don't know if you know it or not, but the WNBA has a smaller basketball than the NBA. Human shock absorbers. What have you put in your child by way of just speaking it out. Y'all laugh about us in the old days. Adults want to talk, they put you out of the room. Right. My mama and daddy, when something happened with one of us that needed some correction, they went in the bedroom. And when they came out, they discussed it. When they came out, it was a strong front as to what they were going to do. I don't know if my mother agreed, or I don't know if my father agreed or disagreed, but you never knew it when you got your correction. Right. I had a brother that was a doozy. He was 6 years older than me. He taught me a lot of stuff, bad stuff. And I just let him have it. That boy walked me down the alley one day. He's about 16 years old. Said, let's cut through here. Let's go to the shopping center. I said, well, where we going in? I'm like Abraham going up to Mount Moriah. And Isaac asking, where's the offering? You know what? Well, what we going in? Oh, just come with me. Walked me through the alley. Went down some, and of all things, if I had him today, I'd laugh at him. Stole a Rambler, one of the worst cars there was. We went over to the shopping center. He loved to dye his hair. Went over, got some hair dye. I think he stole that. We came back. He was a doozy. Came back, went home. Back then, the siblings didn't talk. I was the youngest of 6. You did not talk. I'm at the house about 2 or 3 days later. I'm ear hustling, hearing about Grant stole this car, but it's his parents. My mother and father. I could have. They did what they could do. Sometimes you can do all you can do. Right. That child starts doing stuff you taught them differently. Why are you blaming yourself? You did what you could do. Moses ended up killing a man. He killed him for his people's sake, but you did what you could do. Moses had to flee Egypt, that place that was once a place of safety. That's a whole other story. Why don't you consider yourself to be a stabilizing force in your child? Yeah. Sometimes they need the correction they got. Yeah. And sometimes it is totally unwarranted. But before you go there, get all the facts. And, you can say a lot of things. If that was my kid, I'd do, you know what? You can say that because it's not your kid. Right. Yeah. And then the other thing to that, though, is maybe there's some balance we need in there. Yeah. Some wisdom. Yeah. Have you helped them, or have you hindered them because you didn't want them to see any bump in life? There's some bumps that help you. We learn by adversity. Yeah. That's a whole nother thing. We don't learn by smooth times. We don't learn anything. Things are smooth. Just be a human shock absorber as a mom. God bless you. Amen. It's always good to be in the house of the Lord.